She was trapped inside a school locker, a German Shepherd puppy bleeding, silent and barely breathing. I was the only one left in the building when I heard her. It was after 7 p.m. at Eastbrook Middle School in Dallas, Texas. The rain had started maybe an hour before I just turned off the last hallway lights when something made me stop a sound. Not thunder, not a vent, a whimper, not constant, just one. Then nothing like someone or something didn't have the strength to keep asking for help. My name's Marcus. I'm the night security guy here. 6 years now before that. 12 in the Army before that. I was a father. I waited, listened again. Silence, but then a scrape. I followed it down the corridor past the science lab, the art room, the old vending machines. One hallway was darker than the others, lit only by an emergency strip overhead. Lockers lined both sides like silver coffins. Another sound scratching closer. I knelt by locker 117, bottom row, faint breathing behind the metal. I pulled on the handle, locked, none of my keys worked. My heart started pounding. I grabbed the bolt cutters from the janitor's closet, came back and snapped the lock in one squeeze. The door creaked open. She didn't move, curled in the corner, her back pressed to the cool metal. Her body thin, so thin I could see every rib in the shadows. Her silver and black coat was soaked slick with sweat or rain, or both. One paw stretched toward the opening. Pads split and raw, her claws had scratched the locker floor until they bled. Her eyes met mine and didn't blink wide. Glassy waiting. She hadn't barked. She hadn't growled. She hadn't begged. She'd stayed silent, alone in the dark. I crouched. "Hey," I whispered, like I was talking to a ghost. "Hey, little one." She didn't flinch, but something changed in her eyes, like the pain was still there. But the fear was checking out. I reached in my hands, shook. That's when I saw what was beside her. Torn paper wrappers, a sock, and at the very back of the locker, a child's jacket, tiny faded pink, damp from her breath, and on the inside tag smudge, but readable, Ava. My chest locked. That was my daughter's name, Ava. She died 4 years ago. I blinked, looked again. It wasn't the same jacket, it couldn't be, but something about it, its size, its shape, the way it was curled in, with her like a blanket, made my throat close. The puppy exhaled a slow shaking sigh. She was done fighting, she'd held on for as long as she could, and now someone was finally here. I said it again, louder this time. "I got you." I reached in and pulled her gently into my arms. She was limp but not lifeless. Cold but not gone. She didn't resist, just let go. I looked at the tag one last time before the locker closed behind us. Ava, she wasn't mine, but I wasn't going to lose her. Not this time. Not again. The vet said she was lucky to be alive. Her body temperature had dropped dangerously low. Dehydrated, malnourished, one paw showed signs of pressure necrosis. She'd likely been standing or pressing against a hard surface too long. Her stomach was empty. Her gums were pale. She didn't cry. The vet asked me not until I opened the locker. He shook his head. That means she stopped expecting anyone to come. I didn't answer. I couldn't. I watched through the glass as they worked, the tube's fluids, warm blankets. Her tiny frame didn't fight anything. She lay there, not asleep, not awake, just present, like her soul hadn't decided yet whether to stay or go. They gave her a name for the records, unknown female. GSD said 8 months. I didn't like that. Her name's Daisy. I said. The tech looked at me. "Is she yours?" "I don't know yet." I said, "But her name is Daisy." I spent the night in the clinic lobby, sitting under buzzing fluorescence, with a paper coffee cup and that pink jacket folded beside me. I didn't know why I brought it. It felt wrong to leave it in the trash. It had sat with her all that time, covered. Her held her scent. It was hers now. Or maybe she was his on the next morning. Daisy lifted her head just once, just enough to find me through the window. I didn't wave, didn't smile, just held her gaze and nodded. "I see you. You're still here. You're not alone." Shh. They let me take her home 3 days later. Technically, she was still under observation, but I'd filed a report with Animal Services, logged the incident at the school, and no one had come forward. No missing dog report, no chip, no collar, no nothing, just a puppy in a locker and a man with too many empty rooms. She slept most of the ride home, curled in the passenger seat, head against the console. She didn't whimper, didn't shake, just breathed slow and steady, like the rhythm of the road was rocking her towards something safe at home. I laid her on a folded blanket near the heater. She didn't explore, didn't sniff, didn't even look around. She just lay still, like she didn't trust it yet, like movement might cause it all to vanish. I made rice and boiled chicken. She didn't touch it. I sat. The pink jacket nearby, she stared at it, didn't move. But later that night, when I passed by the room with the lights off, I saw her curled into it again. Nose tucked under the sleeve, eyes closed, breathing soft. And I knew whatever had happened to her inside that locker, whatever pain or fear or betrayal she'd buried deep, that jacket was part of her story now, like a placeholder for the person who hadn't come. The person she waited for, the person she still might be waiting for. Or maybe she'd stopped waiting. Maybe she'd started choosing, and somehow by accident or by fate, she'd chosen me. She didn't bark for the first 6 days. Not once. Not when the neighbor's dog barked through the fence. Not when I dropped a pan in the kitchen. Not even when she had a nightmare. Legs twitching, breath rapid. A low whimper caught in her throat like a memory too sharp to speak aloud. She just watched me cook, watched me clean, watched the front door like it might vanish again. But more than anything, she watched the jacket every night. Like clockwork, she curled around it, nose tucked into the fabric. Sometimes she licked it once before she slept like a habit. She didn't remember learning. She didn't eat in the kitchen, only when I moved her bowl beside the jacket. She didn't follow me around the house, but when I sat on the floor across the room, still silent, she slowly inched closer, not all at once, one paw, then pause, then another. I never reached for her. She needed to believe it was her choice. And then one morning I opened my eyes and she was there, head on the mattress, breathing slow, just watching. That was the first time I smiled without forcing it. I didn't speak. I didn't move. But she stayed. Daisy wasn't like other dogs. She didn't chase toys. She didn't jump when the leash jingled. She didn't do the tail wag tongue out thing you expect from puppies. She was deliberate, patient, quiet. She didn't act like she was home. She acted like she was waiting for someone to tell her she could be on the seventh day. I took her back to the school. I had to. The administration needed me to file a report for the district. I didn't want to bring her, but something in me said she needed to see it, to know she wasn't still trapped there. Not in body, not in memory. I carried her in. She was still too weak to walk more than a few steps. We passed through the side entrance. Empty hallway lockers in rows. She didn't react at first, but when we got near number 117, she stiffened, her head lifted, nose, tilted breath. Shortened, she stared, then turned her head, not away from the locker, toward me. And I swear to you, in that moment, her eyes asked one question. "You're not putting me back, are you?" My throat tightened. I crouched beside her. "No," I whispered, "not ever." She looked once more at the door, then let out a sound I hadn't heard before. Not a bark, not a whine, a huff like closing a chapter, like blowing out a candle. We left. She never looked back that night. She slept beside the bed instead of across the room, not touching, but near, like she was ready to start watching over someone else. Now, not out of fear, but choice. The first time Daisy heard the school bell again, she froze. It wasn't loud. Just a soft chime from the news broadcast I'd left playing in the kitchen, a segment about back-to-school safety. I wasn't paying attention until I saw her. She was in the hallway, mid-step, bowl in her mouth, but when the bell rang, she dropped it. Clang. She backed up fast. Tail down, eyes wide, paws stiff like the floor had turned to fire. I killed the volume instantly, but she didn't move. She stood there for nearly a minute, frozen, breathing sharp, watching something that wasn't there anymore. I knelt down softly, slowly. "It's okay," I whispered. "The bell's not for you." Not anymore. She blinked once, but didn't come. Didn't eat that night. She lay against the far wall, as far from the pink jacket as I'd ever seen her. Like the sound had reopened something she thought she'd buried, and for the first time since I brought her home, she didn't sleep the next day. I brought her with me to pick up my paycheck from the front office. I wasn't supposed to, but no one asked questions in the main lobby. She sat perfectly still by my side until a group of kids passed through. They weren't loud, just middle schoolers in backpacks, talking about whatever kids talk about after class. But Daisy tensed, her ears, flattened eyes locked on a girl in a red hoodie. The girl didn't notice her, walked right past, but Daisy's eyes didn't move. Then her whole body began to shake, not violently, but enough that I could feel it in the leash. A vibration like something inside her was unraveling quietly and with precision. I took her outside fast. She didn't fight me, but she didn't stop trembling either. That night I sat on the floor beside her. She didn't look at me. Her head was pressed to the baseboard. Body curled away, jacket nearby but untouched. I whispered, "Whatever happened to you in there, I'm sorry." No response, just that breath, slow, shallow. Then something I hadn't noticed before. Near the edge of her right ear, a small nick barely visible like it had healed months ago. I leaned closer, below the fur faint but clear. Someone had carved it, branded her not deep, not with malice, not a burn, more like a scratch, with intent, an initial. A letter, my stomach dropped. That jacket didn't belong to just any child. Someone put her in that locker, someone left her there, and someone, maybe that same person, marked her. She wasn't just forgotten. She was abandoned on purpose, and now no bell, no hallway, no child's voice could exist without waking that part of her. That remembered that part of her that still wasn't sure if she'd ever be safe. She stopped eating for 2 days, not completely, a few licks, a sniff. Then she'd turn her head, curl up near the baseboard, and go still, not asleep, not awake. Just shut off. I'd seen that look before in soldiers, on myself. Eyes that weren't afraid, they were disconnected, like the world around them had turned to radio static and they were just waiting for the noise to stop. I sat with her in silence. No music, no TV, no sudden movements. Just time. But she wasn't there to receive it. Daisy had retreated somewhere I couldn't follow. Somewhere dark, windowless, made of lockers and metal, and tiny pink jackets that smelled like memories. On the third day, a call came from the school district office, standard follow-up. They'd reviewed the incident report. No leads on how the puppy got there. No surveillance footage. No student matches to the jacket. And then the question I was waiting for, are you still in possession of the animal possession? Not her name, not Daisy, just the animal, I answered. Yes, the voice on the other end cleared their throat. There's been a development. A woman came forward this morning, claims she had to rehome a puppy recently, a German Shepherd mix around the same age. I froze. Did she say how the dog ended up in a locker? No, the voice said, but she insists the puppy was stolen from her backyard last month. Said she has a vet record and photos, wants to come. Identify the animal, I hung up before I said something. I'd regret. Then I looked at Daisy, still on the floor, still unmoving, the jacket just inches from her paw. I didn't want to believe she could be taken again. Not after everything, but policy is policy. If the woman's claim checked out, Daisy wasn't mine. Not legally, not officially, just emotionally, spiritually, deep down, in the part of me that hadn't attached to anything in years. Until now, 2 days later, the woman came to the clinic. Daisy was with me in the side room. I held the leash loose, giving her space. The woman looked at her, stared, then said, "Yep, that's her. That's Bella." Bella, like erasing what she'd been through with a single word, she pulled out photos. A puppy younger, healthier, wagging tail, fence in the background. She smiled. "See, same. Marking, same eyes, that's Bella. My kids are going to flip when they see her." I waited for Daisy to react, to perk up, to wag, to move. She didn't. She didn't even look at the woman, just stood beside me, unmoving tail, still chest. Tight eyes locked on me. The vet came in, clipboard in hand. "If she's chipped," he said, "we can scan her and settle it." I nodded. They scanned nothing. No chip, no registration, just a girl with a name carved into her ear and a memory etched into her silence. The vet turned to me. "No medical record on file." The woman's smile faded. "I swear she's mine." The tech looked at Daisy again. Then at me, "Sir," he said gently, "under the circumstances, we'll need to hold her here until ownership is verified, 72 hours. My stomach turned. I knelt next to Daisy, met her eyes. She blinked once. Slow, resigned, like she knew. Like this was just another door being shut. And just before they took the leash from my hand, she leaned into my chest just for a second, but it was enough to say, "Don't let them put me back in the dark." She didn't eat, not while she was held. They placed her in a clean kennel, soft blanket, fresh water, quiet corner of the clinic. But she didn't move, didn't react to the other dogs, didn't flinch when Tex came by with food. She just lay there facing the wall. I visited her all 3 days they let me sit with her. I didn't say much, just sat cross-legged or outside her gate while she stared past me. Eyes unfocused, body still on the second day. I brought the pink jacket folded. It slid inside the kennel. She didn't move for hours, but by evening she was curled into it again. Like the world had shrunk to one thing she trusted, one smell that didn't change, one thread of safety she could still hold. The woman never returned. She didn't answer the follow-up call, didn't provide vet records, didn't send updated photos. 3 days passed, then 4 by the 5th, the clinic had their answer. She's cleared, the vet told me. No legal claim. She's yours if you still want her. Still want her. I wanted to bring her home before I even knew her name. I drove back that night with the heat turned high, the jacket folded in my lap when I arrived. They brought her to the front. She walked out slowly, eyes low, body thin but standing. When she saw me, she paused, one paw lifted, then the other, like her body remembered. Even if her heart still needed convincing. I crouched, arms open. Hey, Daisy. No tail wag, no bark. But she came, she leaned into my chest harder this time. No hesitation, like gravity had chosen a new center. And she was done fighting it that night. I placed the jacket on her blanket. She didn't curl into it. She curled into me by morning. Her head was resting on my arm, her breathing steady, her paws twitching slightly, like maybe this time the dream was better than what came before. I stared at the ceiling and whispered, "You're home." And I meant it, not in the way we say it to dogs, like a trick or command, not to sue ourselves or fill silence. I meant it like a promise, a final one. The kind that doesn't need a leash or paperwork or permission, the kind you feel in your bones when someone broken looks at you, like you're the first thing that's ever made sense. Daisy wasn't healed, not yet, but she was no longer trapped. And sometimes that's the only beginning that matters. Daisy started moving differently. It wasn't sudden no, running across the yard or bounding to the door. Just small things, shifts you could miss if you didn't know what to look for. She began to sit beside me. When I tied my boots, she'd follow me from room to room, not close, but close enough to see when I'd pour her water. She'd wait until I stepped back before drinking. But now she looked at me first, like checking that I was still real. Still there, still choosing her. She began to eat without the jacket nearby. She started sleeping closer to the foot of the bed. But the biggest change came on a Tuesday afternoon. I was on the phone in the kitchen sorting out paperwork for a maintenance call at the school. I'd left the front door open, just screen shut. Warm air came in soft windbirds. A delivery truck rumbled by, and then the scream, not loud but sharp high. A child. I dropped the phone. Daisy had already moved. I found her outside, halfway down the sidewalk, standing frozen. A girl small, maybe 8, sat on the curb 2 houses down. She was holding her hand, face twisted in pain beside her. A tipped-over bike. Her elbow was bleeding, not much but enough. Daisy didn't move closer. She just stood, ears forward, tail low, still as stone. The girl looked up, saw her, their eyes locked. The girl sniffled once, then reached her uninjured hand toward Daisy. That's when I stepped in. "It's okay, sweetheart," I said gently. "Are you hurt?" She nodded. "My elbow." I fell. "Let me take a look." As I crouched, I saw Daisy move slowly, carefully. She walked closer, stopped a foot away from the girl, then lowered her head, and the girl reached out. Not to me, to Daisy. She rested her small hand on the puppy's neck and whispered, "You're soft." Daisy didn't flinch, didn't tremble. She just stood there breathing, letting the girl hold her, letting her cry, letting her lean like she'd done this before. Like somewhere in her broken heart, she remembered what it meant to be someone's comfort. I helped the girl inside clean the scrape, called her parents. She sat on the couch with Daisy next to her, curled tight, and still the pink jacket was in the corner, untouched, no longer needed. When the parents arrived, I expected panic, maybe anger. But they saw Daisy first, and something in them softened. The girl said, "She helped me." That night, Daisy slept on the couch, head on a cushion, like a dog who'd finally remembered what peace feels like. She wasn't rescued, she was becoming the rescuer. 2 weeks later, the school counselor called me. "I heard what happened with Daisy and that little girl on your street." She said, "Do you know how rare that is for a dog with that kind of trauma to offer comfort?" Like that, I didn't know what to say. She sounds special, she is, I said, and I meant it. Then she asked something I hadn't expected. Would you ever consider bringing her to the school just for a visit? Some of our students, especially those in the trauma group, might really benefit. My first instinct was to say no too soon, too risky. Daisy had only just started walking, without flinching, sleeping without freezing, breathing like she belonged here. But I looked down, she was watching me. Not afraid, not anxious, just steady, like she already knew the question and was waiting for the answer. The first visit was short. We came after hours, empty halls, quiet classrooms. Daisy hesitated at the entrance but followed me. Her steps were slow but sure. We passed locker 117. She glanced at it. No pause, no sound.